Well, good afternoon to everyone. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all of the things. I wish everyone a very happy holiday season. And listen, we have a special show today because joining us in the building for the Hendonda show, we are joined by an incredibly special guest, one of the hardest working men in YouTube, young man who was 2023 Packers Fan of the Year, 2023 NFL Fan of the Year, a young man who has raised over 2 million, probably by 3 million by now, in charity, the true mastermind behind the Grassi Posse. We have none other than Tom Grassi joining us. Thank you for being here, Tom.
Appreciate
How are you?
Thank you so much. That was a very kind intro. Thank you very, very much. And listen, I don't want to, just overdo it. We've only raised $2.4 million for charity in 4 years, not even close to 3 million. So I'm not even, we're not. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate y'all.
It's on the way. We appreciate you being here. Look, we got a very important matchup coming up. And tomorrow night, the Packers take on the Baltimore Ravens. We travel to you. We head over to Lambeau. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming game, this matchup, Tom. Jordan Love is in concussion protocol. Not sure if he's going to be cleared to play. And then your backup quarterback and Malik Willis is also injured. So I think the big question for us right now is who's going to be your quarterback and how do you feel about it?
I think we're both thinking that, right? Because Lamar is doubtful. So we have no idea who's going to be behind center, but football will occur. So Jordan Love obviously getting a concussion last Saturday and didn't even get that extra day of rest because it's back-to-back Saturday primetime games. So he was limited this week in doing walkthroughs, so I couldn't imagine he was going to be doing a ton. And Malik Willis, he had a shoulder injury, but he sustained that near the end of the game and then still wound up playing that final drive. He, as of right now, he said he will be good to go. They wound up calling up another quarterback from the practice squad if they do need Clayton Tune. But as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Malik Willis unless something changes. But the big factor might be that the Packers, they're still playing for something, but they already clinched a playoff spot with the Lions losing yesterday. So I think that this gives the Packers a little bit of leeway here and cushion that if Jordan Love's not 100%, which I don't know how you are a week after a concussion, then they don't have to rush to start him because they're already going into the playoffs.
Yeah, awesome. And Hendo, he alluded to it. We're in the same boat. How are you feeling about our concerns with Lamar Jackson? And, he's listed as doubtful, and with the contusion, it's most likely not that he's going to be on the sideline. How are you feeling about it?
I feel they should rest him. The season for us is essentially over. In my opinion, even if we do make the playoffs, we're not going to make much noise. You saw what happened to us on Thanksgiving against the lowly Cincinnati Bengals. They just blew us out the water. Now for the Green Bay Packers, like you said, they still have a little bit to play for. 2 games left. If they went out, if the Chicago Bears lose out, they can still win the division. So Tom, do you want to sit Jordan Love and win this division, or are you complacent with just being in the playoffs right now?
So it's so funny because if we had Micah Parsons, I'm like full speed ahead. Let's go. But the Packers obviously have sustained a number of really significant injuries this year. I think based off the way that Malik Willis played last Saturday, the one thing, and Packers fans have been talking about this for a while, they're like, why is the play calling seem like a little bit more succinct when Malik Willis is in? And the reason, which, that's a whole different thing. But I think one of the reasons is because it opens up the ground game so much. The Packers nearly had 200 yards rushing against the Bears last Saturday because you have to account for Malik Willis's ability to be mobile and rush outside the pocket. And so, Josh Jacobs, he got taken off the injury report. That's fantastic. So he's going to be good to go. Emmanuel Wilson, he's been a great RB2 or RB1 at times this season. So I really believe in the ground game and just having that additional, okay, worst case scenario, we're already in. We might wind up playing the Bears anyway if they wind up getting the 2 seed. I would love to have a game at Lambeau. That would be really nice. But if you're gearing up for a playoff run where we're going to need all hands on deck, I'm definitely not going to be like, yeah, you have to start Jordan Love. That being said, I think if they're able to get the win with Malik Willis, I think the 49ers have a good shot of beating the Bears on Sunday. Then hopefully Jordan Love can start that final game against the Vikings and give us the best shot possible.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, you guys are doing remarkable work over there in Green Bay. So this is a really good season that you all are having. But You mentioned, Tom, Micah Parsons, out. Gruesome injury, very sad, unfortunate, and so late in the season. So with that said, I watched you live. I was watching your live stream when you heard the news break that Micah Parsons had been traded to the Green Bay Packers. And I saw the exuberance on your face. And I said, man, I wish I could feel that for one moment, because if the Ravens had traded for Micah Parsons, oh goodness. But
we got DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
That's
Really?
the big off-season move, right?
Wow.
We want to give a quick shout out to everyone joining in the chat. Thanks for being here. Let us know if you have a question for Tom Grassi. Please leave it in the chat. We are not going to be here long. Just want to talk a little bit about the game. But if you have a question for Tom, let us know in the chat and we'll certainly try our best to get to it. But Tom, how are you feeling about Micah Parsons' unavailability for this game, and who can really get after the quarterback in his absence?
Yeah, I mean, we had two significant injuries that were season ending. The first one was to Tucker Kraft, right, who was having a sensational season. And he's not only great as a receiver, obviously he's a tight end, but he's great as a blocker too. And we missed his presence on that offensive line with guys like Zach Tom going down. He's been injured. He didn't play last Saturday. It definitely was an issue, but it was like, okay, the offense was still able to find its groove. Toyotathon started. We were feeling real good, right? We're getting Toyotathon, Jordan Love. But then Micah Parsons goes down, and you alluded to the trade in August. And the reason I was so exuberant and so excited is because, one, it's Micah Parsons in the prime of his career, right? There's only one Micah Parsons in the league. Two is that the Packers heading into this season, their pass rush was solid last year, but their pass rush win rate was not great. I think it was like 26%. It was or 26th in the league. I think it wasn't really good. And so you would hope before Micah Parsons that guys like Lucas Van Ness, who we drafted with the top 15 pick, that he was going to be able to step up, because coming out of college, he was a very raw talent, had all the athleticism in the world, but needed to develop. And or you're going to have Rashawn Gary kind of return to how he was before he got that major contract. And then you had our secondary. The Packers completely revamped that safety unit over the years. They went and get Xavier McKinney, who I love McKinney on the team. Yes. They go and draft Javon Bullard. He's been great. And so it's like, okay, that's all settled. But our corner room, of course, we let Jair Alexander walk. That wound up being the right thing to do. And I love Jair Alexander, but dude just couldn't stay on the field. Wishing trust me, I remember, because Ravens fans were asking me, they were like, this is going to make our secondary so good. I was like, yes, if he plays, which is always just a big if. But our corners, we didn't draft a corner until the 7th round, which was Micah Robinson. And that was a little bit of a head scratcher, because I was like, okay, I know we're all excited about Matthew Golden, right? Excited, first round wide receiver, first time in 22 years. But we need to, shore up our corners, because Carrington Valentine's, the 7th round pick, definitely has overplayed where his draft position was. And then we got Nate Hobbs, from the Raiders. We didn't know how that was going to be. Keyshawn Nixon, who has at times been solid, but other times has been a little bit of a liability. And so when we got Parsons, it was like, man, this is a 2-in-1 deal, because as you know, when you have a really good pass rush, that is going to make that secondary look so much better. And so when we got him, I was like, wow, now even if Van Ness doesn't develop, we're good, right? Because Gary could be that second guy. And it showed. The Packers, he had 12.5 sacks. He led the team in pressures. And for the first bit of the season, Rashawn Gary, he got the amount of sacks that he got all of last year. Now, unfortunately, he's slowed down a little bit. But yeah, that's you're going to have to rely on both those guys to try and generate pressure against the Ravens, whether it's Snoop Huntley that's playing or if Lamar miraculously plays. Because that's been a problem. They didn't get any sacks on Caleb Williams, except one that was then negated because of a face mask call. But yeah, their pass rush definitely has been stifled a little bit with the loss of Micah Parsons.
And you made light of the fact that you got Micah Parsons and we got DeAndre Hopkins, and you can do that because you have a bevy of riches when it comes to the wide receiver position. We are so envious over here as a team. Now you do. You have so many wide receivers that you took one and turned them into a corner. That's how many wide receivers that you have on this team. And us over here, even with DeAndre Hopkins, we're jealous. We don't. Lamar has not been surrounded with that type talent.
No, I mean, because I'm Rashad Bateman, right? You're waiting for Bateman to be the guy, and every year is okay, maybe it's gonna be him. Zay Flowers has all the talent in the world, can't hold on to the football at times, right? And that gets really frustrating. And with DeAndre, you're hoping, all right, we get those sure hands. But how if the Chiefs couldn't utilize him and they definitely needed a wide receiver, it's kind of like, all right, how much bang for your buck are you going to get? And yeah, I mean, you bring up the wide receiver room, and there was a time where we did not. I mean, you look at that last year with Aaron Rodgers, and it was a rough going of things. And we had the youngest team in the NFL, whole 9 yards, that year that Love actually starts. And then last year, like, they struggled. We thought, oh man, really good in 2023. 2024, they're going to take that next step, and they didn't. Guys were injured, but this year they've definitely come into their own, and they've been a nice core.
Tom, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, right? Okay, so here is where the Ravens really struggle. This offensive line. No secret, though. We all know this is the Achilles heel of the Baltimore Ravens. And how do the Packers really take advantage of the weakness for the Ravens?
Yeah, and again, what's interesting is because we were just talking about our pass rush. Like, I can't really get a good read after one game against the Bears, who have a much improved offensive line. They did a whole lot of spending in free agency and the draft, right? They went and they upgraded in those trenches. So it's tough. I'm very curious to see against a battered offensive line, like how our pass rush looks, because once we start getting into the playoffs, you're going up against some better teams with some better offensive lines. Unless you're the Chargers, they just don't have an offensive line as of right now.
Right.
But at this moment, I can't even definitively say like, oh yeah, we could definitely take advantage of this weakness, because it's all circumstantial right now. So my hope is that you are going to see a lot of Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness, and then hopefully they're able to get after Snoop or Lamar if he plays. But yeah, as of right now, that's a big old question mark heading into the final 2 games of the season.
Okay, so let me ask you about your offense kind of going up against our defense. Who do you think is going to see? I said the Achilles heel was the offensive line. That kind of could be, we have a couple of Achilles heel, one of them being our defense that's really not living up to hype and expectation. But in terms of your offense, how do you think the Packers are going to do? Are they going to lean more into Josh Jacobs, more of a run-heavy game? How do you think what's the formula for the Packers to be able to put up points on the board?
Yeah, I think it's really just going to depend on who our quarterback is, right? If Jordan Love is out there, he's going to air the ball out, right? But being able to lean on that run game if he needs, I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting kind of not limited reps, but they're going to limit his game plan and his involvement. But if we get Malik Willis, I think it's all going to go through the ground game. And Malik can definitely throw. Don't get me wrong. I think he had a little over 100 yards in the game against the Bears. But they are highly going to they're just going to hand that ball off. So depending on how the Ravens run defense is going to play, that's going to make a big difference. But watching the Ravens a whole lot this year, I think that's how we can do 2 things. 1, I think that's how we're going to put up points. But 2, that's also how we're going to control the clock. And the Packers in the past have definitely struggled against mobile QBs. The last time we played the Ravens, it was against Snoop Huntley also, right? And I think that one was in Baltimore. And we nearly lost that football game because the Packers traditionally have struggled against mobile quarterbacks. So if they're able to contain Snoop, I feel pretty good. But yeah, I think the ground game on the offense is really going to how they're going to move the football, just because they have a couple of guys that they can lean on. And Malik Willis can also use his feet too.
Yeah. Hendo, how are you feeling about our defense taking on the Packers?
I'm not feeling well. You know that. I mean, to be truthful, it is the season of giving. It's the holiday season, and the Ravens defense, when you have an issue with your team, you come to play us. And if you are an offensive team that has struggled throughout the year, we seem to give you career highs some way, somehow. Marlon Humphrey was a former All-Pro. He seems to be struggling now. We cannot generate any type of pressure on the quarterback. Reverting back to that Thanksgiving Day game versus the Bengals, they have one of the worst offensive lines in football. We got a sack one time on a cornerback blitz. So for us, defensively stopping what they have going on, it's going to be hard. Like I said, they have a lot of wide receivers and they have tight ends. Even though Tucker Kraft has gone out, they can spread the ball around, and our run defense has been suspect all season long. So they can run it, they can pass it. Even though we have so many first and second round picks, so many $100 million players on this team, it's going to be a struggle for us. And I don't think that there's the motivation within this team because, in my opinion, John Harbaugh has lost his team. And Tom, I know you and Brandon earlier spoke about it'd be hard for John Harbaugh to lose his job. It won't be. This is the swan song.
Not for the fans, don't get me wrong, because Ravens fans have been saying for so the question I always have, because honestly, I think you can say this about a few AFC North head coaches, is this pressure being generated from the fan base and the front office, right? Because the Ravens and the Steelers operate in kind of similar fashions, that they're pretty traditional and they hold on to their guys for quite some time. And that's where I think my concern is, because you have Harbaugh, who obviously, I think he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. But the Ravens, for me, and I mentioned this on GPS, and I've said this throughout the years, I think we are going to look back on these Ravens teams and go, how the hell did they not win a Super Bowl? And it is just so frustrating to watch, because there are times where they are the absolute best in the league, and then they run into the Chiefs or they run into the Bills, and listen, the Bills are in the same boat, man, right? Because they run into the Chiefs or they run into the Bengals. And unfortunately, it just feels like, even with all that talent, with all that money that's being sent, all that draft capital that is on the field, there's no complementary football, right? I mean, you could go all the way back to week 1 of this season, right? And it's like, holy cow, the offense is electric. Even though you lose a really close game, you're like, okay, if the offense can put that up every single week, we're rocking. The offense doesn't do that, whether you have the fumbles, then the offense slows down, the defense starts playing a little bit better. And it just feels like, unfortunately, there hasn't been a time where everyone's been in sync. And now, there's a whole lot of smoke, and there's stuff about Lamar, and there's stuff about Harbaugh. And it just, when teams start to lose, and I have been on the side of this, everything starts coming out, right? You got Isaiah Likely, who I know is not going to be on the team anymore. It's a time. So yeah, no, I feel for you guys, because I do like the Ravens. I really like their organization, and I like Lamar a lot. And it just feels like maybe for Harbaugh, it's just time, to get something different in there and see what a change could do.
Yes, I would love to have a head coach that does the exact same things that was successful in the regular season. In the playoffs, you say they run into a wall of the Chiefs. No, we run into the wall of John Harbaugh, who decides to run his running back 6 to 9 times.
You didn't run at all.
At all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so frustrating, because the AFC North, especially this year, and you mentioned it, right? This is definitely not a great Ravens team like we've seen in the past couple of seasons, but the division's still open. The Steelers are not world beaters by any stretch, but it's just, you don't give the ball to Derrick Henry, and it's mind-boggling. It's not depending on your strengths.
And I know D-Hop is a little beyond his prime, okay? So let's keep it in perspective. But how many touches does D-Hop get per game? 1 or 2. It's very, very few. And when you talk about winning these games, it comes down to a battle of the turnovers oftentimes. And if you have, pass catchers and your running backs are dropping the ball, fumbling the ball, it makes it really difficult to trust them. But yet week after week, we continue to do it. And we just overly paid, I think, Mark Andrews, our tight end, who is known for his inability to make plays in crucial moments. Because Tom, listen, playmakers make plays. In those big moments. When the game is on the line, you have to have that one player who for a fact is going to be able to come out with, whatever their assignment is, or going to execute it effectively. Who do the Ravens have right now?
We have Mark Andrews. Listen, that man signed an extension, and ever since then has 3 catches for 39 yards. Big plays, big players, big games.
Big games, big moments. Right there. That's coming in clutch. Yeah, man. But that's what it is. I mean, you look at the Packers, and for years that was the argument about wide receiver 1. Well, who's the wide receiver 1 here in this group of really young wide receivers? And for a couple seasons, I'm like, I don't know. Because it was Devontae Adams years ago, right? Before that, you can go to Jordy Nelson. You go all the way back down Driver, Greg Jennings, the whole 9 yards. But now they draft Matthew Golden, and there's plenty of Packers fans who are like, are we ever going to throw him the football? But this is just always how the Packers operate with their rookies. We'll see Matthew Golden a whole lot, I would assume, next season. But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. If you're going to be paying a guy a whole bunch of money, like the Packers paid Rashawn Gary, right, to be that, okay, you're going to be that pass rusher that's constantly going to get after him. And I like Rashawn Gary, but sometimes that speed is the only thing he has, and it's a little problematic. And when you're not getting after the quarterback, especially now when somebody has to step up because Micah Parsons is injured, it's got to be you.
I mean, we'll take your 7.5 sacks.
We will.
We'll take them.
Yeah.
That would lead our team.
By far.
By
By
far.
far.
I mean, I saw you making some swings in the draft and drafting some pass rushers that have some histories, and it was just like, maybe he's gonna fix our team. Like, you're taking the swings, but
No.
Yeah, when you take a rookie defensive coordinator who's never been a coordinator at any level, who's a hardball light, it's kind of hard because we watch players from our team go to other teams and they shine, especially Yolanda's guy, Dafe Owe, who has killed since he's gone to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. With his Micah Parson-esque self. Listen,
Wow.
Tom, who is the X factor for the Packers tomorrow?
It's a really good question. If you're looking at the defense, I would assume, maybe I shouldn't assume this. I would assume you're going to run the football on Saturday, but I caught myself because I don't know if I can make that assumption. Maybe I would say maybe Harbaugh has learned, but then after this week, I don't know if he has. So like in the middle is going to be a difference maker there. Like Edgerrin Cooper, he had a phenomenal season last year. He's been a standout middle linebacker. I think he could definitely be an X factor in this game. And on the top of that, healthy Josh Jacobs, I think, could make a huge difference. He unfortunately had a crucial back-breaking fumble inside the 5 last week that the Bears wound up getting. But if they can lean on him in the run game, especially if Jordan Love is not playing, I think he can make a huge difference there because he is just one tough runner. And him being healthy, I think that's one of the reasons why the Packers could win this game.
Same thing, Hendo. X factor for the Ravens. Who is it? And for those in the chat who are Packers fans, thanks for joining. Same thing, Ravens fans. Who is that X factor? Whether it's offense or defense, who is it, Hendo?
It's got to be Derrick Henry. Like offensively, that's the one guy that we can lean on. I know that you think that former Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley is that guy, but I don't think him having 20 completions for 49 yards is going to help us out much. So Derrick Henry has to be that it factor if John Harbaugh decides to run him. Now, we can say that John Harbaugh has learned his lesson from previous seasons, but like I said, in the playoffs, every year we don't run our running backs. And every year I say, okay, he's learned and he's going to do it the next season, and he doesn't do it. We should have learned from earlier in the year when we didn't run Derrick Henry. We start the games off. Derrick Henry's killing Todd Monken for some reason. If we go down 3-5 points, wants to throw the ball. So if the Packers can get an early lead, that may negate Derrick Henry only because we go into panic mode. So for me, he's going to be that X factor.
Okay. All right. What is an underrated Packers player, Tom? Someone who has just kind of flown under the radar, but still, even if it's quietly, makes an impact. Yeah,
I mean, and you miss him when he's not there. It's Zach Tom. I mean, Zach Tom on that offensive line, like, is just a difference maker, man. Not just because he has a great last name, but it's just like he has been one of the most consistent players with Elton Jenkins being out and that offensive line because we got rid of Josh Myers, our center. And so, like, there's been some shuffling that's going along with the O-line. And Zach Tom has just been like an anchor on that team. So he's been really, really nice for that squad. And like I said, too, like, I got to give a huge shout out to Emmanuel Wilson because, like, Wilson has just been... He's been around on the Packers for a little bit, and especially because we haven't seen Marshawn Lloyd, who we drafted as run back, and he's played like one game last season, and then he's just been dealing with like this hamstring injury, and then it doesn't sound good. So he's been able to fill in really, really nicely. And while he hasn't really been flying under the radar, Christian Watson has been balling out ever since he came back from injury. And I'm so glad that we gave him that 1-year extension to kind of give us a little bit of leeway, being like, okay, this is your prove it year. And when he is healthy, he is just a game changer on the field because he can literally do it all. And there's nobody that's built like him on the team. Like with it, like Matthew Golden's very fast, don't get me wrong, but like with his speed, like he can just be that guy. But it's also guys like Dontavian Wicks who like had a bunch of drop issues last year. He's gotten over those and, and he's been able to be reliable when they're targeting him. So I mean, it just feels like we are getting some contributions from a bunch of different guys, and it's kind of leading to either some victories or some really close games. But I'm hoping the Packers are able to have a nice bounce back win because these last 2 games have been brutal, not only in terms of the way that they've lost those games, but also the injuries they sustained.
Understood. Thank you, Beth Noseball. She says she's a Bills fan, but she has respect for both teams. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And I see your question, Beth. Is Lamar playing? Probably not. We are uncertain, but he's listed as doubtful. But our head coach did tell us that he's in a lot of pain. but I doubt it. So just to answer your question, I doubt it.
I am really curious. Sorry to interrupt. I am very curious from Ravens fans' perspectives. Of course, this week, like all this stuff is now coming out about like Lamar Jackson, and like there's folks who are like, it's just rumor, hit pieces, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on this? Is this just kind of like because the team is losing, all the dirty laundry is being aired out? Are you thinking that there's like, where there's smoke, there's fire? I'm very curious on your take.
Hendo, what do you think?
If anybody that's been familiar with Mike Preston, the author of all of this, then you know that he has done this his entire career. He's trying to make a name or put his name back out there. He's been at the Suns since I think 1983, and he's been doing this to certain Ravens players for the longest time. Now, for me, I would have thought that through all the trials and tribulations that the Ravens have gone through with their non-playoff success, word of this would have come out before. Now, for me, with Lamar Jackson, he's sleeping in meetings. He's not engaging with his teammates enough. But last season, he had one of the most iconic seasons a quarterback has ever had in the NFL. Now, for guys doing all of these things, and you come out and have a season like that, something's just not adding up. And for it to come out right now, when John Harbaugh's seat is the hottest that it's been since Lamar was a rookie, I would not be surprised if somebody is just trying to make Lamar the scapegoat to kind of save John Harbaugh's job.
And I would assume you want to keep Lamar over John Harbaugh. I think it's a healthy assumption.
Absolutely. Let us know in the chat if you could have your pick. You keep Lamar or you keep John Harbaugh, because I don't think there's a situation or a scenario where they coexist, right? I don't think moving forward, I don't believe that we can have any level or measure of success if we continue to maintain the status quo ante. I don't think it's going to happen. So with that, let us know in the chat. Who do you want? You want Harbaugh or do you want Lamar Jackson? You're not going to have both. Yeah. And to answer your question, Tom, I think from my perspective, I don't think that this is just now coming to light. I think we started seeing glimpses, right? We got little snippets, even from Hollywood Brown, when he made a statement when he said, you have soldiers on your team, but you don't use them. And people back then, a few years ago when he was traded to Arizona said, oh, what is he talking about? It's fine. I'm glad that he's gone. Hollywood was non-factor anyway. So good riddance, good luck to you over there with Kyler Murray. But if you take a little bit closer of a look at what he is saying and you really dissect it, he's saying, hey, the way you manage your team, what you do with the players that you have, with the talent, we're not getting the most effective use from them. And so for me, I saw glimpses of this years ago. It's starting to become a lot bigger. It's snowballing and becoming greater because obviously now it's Lamar Jackson who is dissatisfied with the team, but I certainly want him to stay. And I would be very happy if John Harbaugh did something else. I don't wish him any ill. Just do whatever it is that makes you happy on any other team. Right.
Share with your grandkids. But Hollywood wasn't the only one that did it. In the playoff loss to the Bengals in 22, J.K. Dobbins came out and he said it. He said, I'm supposed to be the guy. I'm out here averaging 5.9 yards per carry, and you run me 12 times during this game. Patrick Queen also alluded to it one time before he left. He said, why do we keep losing the same way? I'm tired of this. The same thing goes on, the same situations. He didn't necessarily say that it was the coaching, but you have all of these players saying all of the same things. Now, we all know that John Harbaugh's greatest attribute is self-preservation. When the seats get hottest, John Harbaugh goes to work. When the Ravens start to go on a skid, that's when he decides he wants to coach or he wants to put out a hit piece on somebody else. He's always thrown coordinators under the bus. He's thrown Todd Monken under the bus. Now, you as the head coach, for us, Tom, we watch the post-game pressers. And every week it's like, why didn't you run Derrick Henry enough? And he's just like, oh, he didn't get the ball? Oh, I didn't know. Well, what is your job as the head coach? You're not an offensive head coach. You're not a defensive head coach. What is your job? Why are you holding a play call sheet for the camera?
I didn't know. Oh, that's amazing. Were you not watching the game? Were you? Right. I feel like it'd be interesting because obviously you get rid of Harbaugh, you're going to get rid of the coordinators, I would assume. Like the whole ship is going to get cleaned out. My question is would you prefer an offensive or a defensive minded head coach, going forward? Because I feel like you could make an argument for both, right? Because at times the defense has been underwhelming, but you also want to unlock the potential of that offense.
Yes. Well, like I said, you and Brandon spoke about this earlier, and I was sitting there like, they know. They had their pulse on it. Brian Flores. I would love to see Brian, because we lack discipline as a team. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're not as successful as a franchise as we need to be. And I think he would come in and bring some of that Patriots way with him and kind of right this ship and help this defense, no matter what defensive coordinator he's brought in. Because when he was a consultant with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he turned that defense around. And now, as far as offensive coordinator, I know they said this may be a long stretch, but we'll take Mike McDaniels to be our offensive coordinator. You put those two together, and it'll be hard to stop us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. Brian Flores for the disciplinary aspect, but I want someone who can maximize Lamar's potential, his talent, everything that he does right now so well, allow it to be even greater because someone out there recognizes what we have in Lamar and is able to kind of, bring that out of him. We do have a super chat coming through from our guy, Ty. Thank you, Ty, for the $2 donation. Ty writes, self-preservation like a cockroach. Yikes. Ouch. But that's it. That's how you can sum up the relationship or some of the feelings that we have about John Harbaugh. But couple final quick questions for you. Tomorrow's game, a lot is at stake for the Ravens. Like you mentioned earlier, you guys have already clinched a playoff seat, so you're already good there, and you're second right now in the NFC North, right behind 2 games, I believe, behind the Bears. A lot is at stake for you because you can still win the division.
Sure.
What do you think is the outcome? Who wins tomorrow?
Again, I'm going to make a healthy assumption and say Malik Willis starts tomorrow's game, and given the opportunity, I think that's. Again, a lot of assumptions here. I'm assuming that's what they've been game planning for as well. And Malik Willis has been able to come in when Jordan Love got injured last season after week 1. He was able to come in and he was able to win as a starter. So I think that they'll be able to lean on the ground game. And if they're able to actually scheme for Willis and not just throw him randomly into the game, even though he did very well against the Bears, given how the defense has been for the Ravens, I think they should be able to run the ball on them. And so I got the Packers winning if they can control time of possession. And then again, your guess is just as good as mine. Your offensive line versus our edge rushers. I don't know, because we're going to have to see how good our edge rushers actually are and if they can step up. So yeah, we'll see. But I do think the Packers have a good shot of winning this at home.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. And Hendo, a lot is at stake for our Ravens, right? We know that we have to have a lot of chess pieces move in our favor in order for us to even have a hope and a prayer that we make it to the postseason. So tomorrow for us, this is essentially win or go home. And even if we do win, that still doesn't guarantee us a spot. We still need help from the Steelers. We need them to lose. But anyway, Hendo, tomorrow night, we have tackling issues. We, with Alohi, that we continue to struggle stopping the run. We have Roquan Smith out there who's just not contributing. Kyle Hamilton is supposed to be that great player who is still just not. It's just not it since he signed his contract. He's doing good, but not great. How do you feel? Who wins tomorrow?
I feel like we're in trouble. We've been in trouble all season long. Like we have not. John Harbaugh has not gotten his team up for big games, unfortunately. And this is a big game. Last week against the Patriots, it was our season. And look what we did. The last 2 drives, you have Keaton, Mitchell out there for the second to last drive. Yes, we love his explosiveness, but he was averaging 1.9 yards per carry. So why put him in there? Then on the last drive, even more egregious to that was you have your 4th-string running back and Rasheen Ali start the drive to win the game. Like all of these things don't make sense. And it shows me John Harbaugh doesn't really care about the season. He told us before the season began that Super Bowl or bust mantra, it don't apply here. He's not worried about any of those things, which told me he doesn't really care. He knows that for the most part, his job is safe. He thought with Lamar Jackson, we were going to win 12 to 13, 14 games and nothing was going to change. So I think the Packers are going to win, even though they do have 7 players that are listed as questionable. Christian Welch, the former Raven, he's out. And I think one of your guards is out as well. But even with your injuries, we have injuries as well. I just think that the Packers are going to take this game.
And I do think it could be a close game because the Ravens Packers usually play each other pretty close too. Like, those when we do the interconference matchups, I wouldn't be surprised. And like my only concern is if your run defense steps up, because if I'm not mistaken, and please don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure your run defense is ranked higher than your secondary right now. I'm pretty sure. So if you guys are able to stop the run and you're forcing Malik Willis to throw the ball, like that's where we could potentially run into some problems. Again, I like Malik. He could definitely throw it, but he's not Jordan Love. So I wouldn't be surprised if this winds up coming down to the wire.
Yeah. We do have a super chat coming through. From True Sun, thank you for the $5 donation. He writes, did I miss a conversation on the Ravens media smear campaign on Lamar to lower his extension value? We did not get into that today, but stay tuned for another episode where Hendo and I will really dissect that and give you our thoughts. But the weather I saw is going to be brutal. Is going to be cold and it's going to be brutal. So I think Beth asked that question, or maybe not Beth, someone else. But listen, we appreciate all of you for coming and hanging out with us. I'm going to give you my quick thoughts. I think I want to say the Ravens will win, but I truly don't believe that. So I'm in good faith. I have to say, I think the Packers are winning this one. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I don't. I think the Ravens have too much internal drama going on to allow for everyone to, kind of go in with a clear head, a clear mind, and really execute and have the coaches prepare their players well enough to fight against the Packers. You're a great team, and I think the Ravens are going to come in second place tomorrow. That said, my score prediction, I would think, even if it's Malik, I think the score would definitely go up if Jordan Love plays, but I think he's going to be out. I think the score is going to be somewhere 27, 28, 14 Packers. That's kind of what I'm leaning.
I think 27. That's our magic number this season.
Yeah, 27, 28, somewhere around there. Listen, thank you. A huge thank you to Tom Grassi for spending some time with us over here. The Ravens. I appreciate that. Tom, I know everyone knows where they can find you because you are nearing that 1 million subscriber mark here on YouTube. So if you are not already subscribed to Tom Grassi, he's going to tell you where you can find him. Go over, subscribe to the Grassi Posse and become a part of it. Tom, thank you. Where can they find you?
Yeah, just type in Tom Grassi on YouTube. It's easy. If you're just like, this man has a weird Muppet voice that I want to hear more of. Wow. If that's your thing, here we are. Hey, we're doing 7 days a week and through January. So I appreciate y'all for taking the time. Thank you so much for having me. And I wish you the off season that you truly want.
Thank you. It means a lot because we certainly need it. Family, we will see you all back very soon. Big game for us tomorrow. Hendo and I will live stream the game. I'm sure Tom over on his channel will also be live streaming that game. Thank you, Tom, also for the raids that you have done for myself, for Hendo. It means a lot. So thank you for that. But we will see you all very soon. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And hopefully we'll be back tomorrow on the other side of victory, although I don't believe it wholeheartedly.
Wow.
See you soon.